Hello, everybody. This is Mariah Carey, and you're listening to the Chusky Boys. Just kidding. This is Chad with Hemlock. What does a Chusky boy looks like?
Hey, the inaugural episode of the Chusky Boys. You got your big man, J.R. Simpson here with the partner in crime, 15 years of history with the Mr. Dusty Hirsch. I have a tendency to live vicariously through him with his interesting stories. He's my main man. And like I said, if we're going to talk about sports betting, we'll talk about some bad beats when we got Dusty on here. So, Dusty, how in the hell are you tonight, man?
I'm good, man. It's good to finally get this done. We've been talking about it for so many months. We've all been getting our asses kicked at work because of COVID, but now we're back. We're here. We got a lot of good stuff lined up, dude. Got a lot of interesting folks we're going to have on the next couple, probably 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And not to mention the one that we've already got in the books that you'll hear later this episode with Mr. Chad Smith from Hemlock, who just recently went back on tour after a 2-year hiatus. And I think their second date is tonight. Probably won't hear this podcast for a while, so they'll probably be on night 3 or 4. But they, in the big bus, they're hitting the road. And to make a stop here in Rapid City, November 1st at the Cave Collective. But we'll get more into that later. But really kind of setting the stage of what is this podcast for? Why are we doing this? You know, what is it all about? And I think it's a couple different things for us. I think it's a way to be somewhat creative. We love music. We love people involved in music. We ain't good at music ourselves, so why not talk to interesting people who do know
music? A couple ends on the music biz. We would kind of want to bring them people out and exploit them, if you will, for our podcast. But so far, so good. Everyone's totally cool at jumping on. So, yeah, no bullshit. You know what I mean? Just music, like what we dig, pop culture, movies. Halloween comes out tonight. Halloween Kills. I'm excited for that. JR and I are the worst sports bettors you can ever imagine. So we'll have some good tales about bad beats and sports betting and Deadwood and all that.
Maybe some live on the spot videos of us having bad beats in Deadwood.
Just complete meltdowns.
Sell the house. It's all gone.
Yeah. That's right. So far, I know we've rebranded it the Chusky Boys. JR, you came up with this. All right. This is all you.
Yep.
What the hell's a Chusky boy?
All right, man.
Hey, Chusky boy?
Yeah, here's the story, man. I wish I could take all the credit, but it has something to do with my wife and my son, who he is a bigger kid, not only his weight, but also his size, his height. He's like 99th percentile in both, and his head's huge. So he's a big kid. And I remember, and it resonated with me, and it stuck with me, that my wife was saying something, and I think she said, we just have a husky boy, and I'm like Dusty, or not Dusty, sorry, Laura, he's not husky, and then she said, well, he's chubby. I'm like, nah, I don't think he's chubby either, and that's where we came up, like, well, he's Chusky, he's a Chusky boy. And ever since then, like, I had this idea of like that is going to be something. And here we are on this podcast, the Chusky Boys.
It was born.
That's right. That it started there, and now it's finally come to fruition and doing something with it. And yeah, so you ain't husky, you ain't chubby, you Chusky. You know what I mean? That's us. Doesn't matter if you lost 100 pounds, gained 50 of it back. Let's not talk about that. Dusty, I think how much you down now?
88, 84 today. It was 86.
Listen, you are a Chusky boy for life.
Yeah.
Right? Plus, in all reality, Dusty, I don't think you can lose like hundreds of pounds or anything like that. Your face is too big. You just got a fat face. Okay. Like,
I wouldn't even want to be a small guy, man. Like you get this, you think you're tough. You get this complex. You can't be a skinny runt. You know what I mean? You gotta have those linebacker shoulders and that big sleep apnea neck, and you gotta roll with it. And that's I lost the weight, because I got the kiddo, like you got. Like I got my first kiddo, my one and only, and my wife is way prettier than I am, so I gotta get on that level. You know what I mean? I'm tired of that. I'm tired of going out and people whistling. I say, what's up? And they're like, that's not you, fat boy. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Hey, fat boy, it's Chusky boy. It's Chusky boy. We'll get it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna spread.
I know we're gonna have this individual on, but I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Carmen Sloan, aka the Sketchy Goat on Instagram, Facebook, and whatever else you guys use. She from Texas, El Paso, Texas. Got to be the best goddamn designer I've ever seen in my life. First off, she loves the stuff that I love, right? The same music, big Alice in Chains and grunge and metal. And she designed our logo, the Chusky Boys. There you go. Absolutely free. Wouldn't take a dime for it. And I mean, totally knocked it out of the park. And we're going to have her on, hopefully, in the next couple months, probably. Just so she can tell us a little bit about the design work and what she does and
Who she's done it for.
she's got something a little bit top secret that is totally badass, way more badass than I've ever done probably. But she's got something top secret that hopefully by the time we have her on, we can talk freely about, but we're going to leave it at that.
Big connection that me and Dusty have, on the video, of course, you can see in the back behind me is a couple photos of Alice in Chains. That's one thing that really made me and Dusty best friends, if you will. Back we were both at Best Buy, and we started talking music and stuff like that. And I never knew someone else local here in Rapid City, South Dakota, where Alice in Chains was like their favorite band. And then I come to find out Dusty's even more like huger. I don't think those are words. A bigger fan of Alice in Chains than myself, which I thought was unheard of. And that's kind of the connection that we've had and the shows that we've gone to. I think we've traveled to Sioux Falls. I think we traveled to Denver. I did like a quick overnighter to see a show. You were already down in Denver. We went to the festival in Sioux Falls. I know they've been at Sturgis once or twice, and I know you've gone to other shows too. You went to Jerry Cantrell, and you went, I think you traveled to, was it San Francisco, or where was it in California? Was it LA?
That was Los Angeles. Yeah, that was his last show he's done, December 7th.
2019, yeah. Traveled all the way out there for that, man, and was able to meet him, backstage and all that stuff, which is awesome. You remember at the Sioux Falls show? Speaking of, kind of staying with Alice in Chains. You remember at the Sioux Falls show, it was Mike Inez's birthday. Remember? And it was that festival. So the two parts to this story, right? So number one,
what's the name of that festival? What is that Sioux Falls radio station? They have it every year.
No, K-Rock or something. I honestly, Dusty, is it K-Rock?
Yeah. Is that what
we're gonna roll with it? So festival.
They have one banner in the whole goddamn place.
Yeah. Hey, I do not want to say these hands are clean, sir. Okay. Long story short, though, we all spend buco bucks to get like priority tickets or VIP tickets because you get your own little drink tent, and you got you got your own little entrance and maybe meet and greets with the bands. And there was Alice in Chains. There was what is it? Bullet for My Valentine, right? And then there was a couple other ones too. I mean, it was a very good lineup of festivals.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 bands that are that style that I'm into.
No. I mean, we were wandering around, going to our own beer tent and stuff like that, kind of bitching about the tickets because it really wasn't that great. We really didn't have our own VIP bar. We definitely didn't meet anybody in the bands or anything like that. No special bathroom. The only thing that was good is we didn't have to wait in line. We all got there and then we just walked right in, right? So that was the one nice thing of it. Bullet for My Valentine is on. Anyway, so we're at the show. We get in because that was the only perk of it, was the VIP show that we got. Hopefully meet some of these bands or anything like that. None of that happened. So we were just kind of bitching to someone, I don't know who, about it. And it, anyways, spent a bunch of money. Didn't have to wait in line. So that was, like I said, the one nice thing. Of course, Dusty and his brother, huge, bigger Alice in Chains fans, knew it was Mike Inez, the bassist of Alice in Chains' birthday. So lo and behold, what do? Well, like Dusty was saying earlier, takes the one huge banner. I don't even think it was an Alice in Chains banner, was it? It was like
they were on the banner, like so it showed the 4 guys and it had like the whatever festival behind it. Yeah, what the hell?
And look it up. So anyway, no names. Dusty's brother, not to be named, grabs it all like incognito, nonchalant, This is a huge banner, so it's not like he just grabbed it, but it was kind of a meticulous getting it off it was on a railing. It was on the fence railing. Grabbed it. I think someone in part of our group, because it grabbed a permanent marker, and good old Daniel. Oh, drop the name. I'm gonna leave it. Daniel grabs a marker, goes.
He's already in jail. Doesn't matter.
Goes into the porta potty. I mean, there's got to be a statute of limitations on taking a banner from a festival, okay? And I'm pretty sure we're past it. And takes the permanent marker, goes into the porta potty. He's in there for what feels like an eternity, which it cannot smell good in there. That cannot be fun for him. And this huge, long banner gets on it, "Happy Birthday, Mike Inez." Right, Dusty? Isn't that what it said? Now,
Yep, exactly right. Yep.
the evidence of this banner is certainly not hanging in Dusty's garage. It is not there. It is gone. There is no proof of this ever happening. Okay. So
that's a different
banner. So comes the show. They are headlining the festival. Okay. We get that sign put up. It's on where we can see, because it's like across the field or something, that all the bands, that's where they're going. Catering's probably over there or whatever. So we see a bunch of people going there, and the band's coming, and the band's going, et cetera, et cetera. So we find a spot where we can post this on there, this "Happy Birthday, Mike Inez." So when Alice in Chains comes up to the stage, that they're going to be able to see it. So it's getting later in the evening, getting later at night, when the headliner's coming on. Mike Inez sees it, laughs, comes over and visits with us real quick. And hey, how'd it go, Dusty? How'd it go?
Well, this is the deal. So we headed over, and this is probably like 3 bands. So like UFC, the wild card, or the UFC main card, right? So like 3 big bands. Come to get excited. It's almost the end. We had the banner over, said "Happy Birthday, Mike Inez," and I see a dude walking, super tight Wranglers and a cowboy hat. Totally not who you think it was. I'm like, holy shit, that's Mike Inez. So I yelled at him, and he pointed and laughed and said, "Hey guys, I'll come right over." And at this point, this is probably my 5th Alice in Chains show, probably. It was called the Crow Fest.
Yep. KRO Fest, May 14th, 2013. Statute of limitations, over 7 years. We're good.
And I might have been 10 shows deep by then. But anyways, we're sitting there, and he never did come back. And we're sitting there waiting, and it's dark out, dude. Alice in Chains, the headliner. It's been 20 minutes since the last band, second to last band's been on stage. And this dude comes over with all his lanyards, backstage, all access, Alice in Chains, blah, blah, blah. I think they were on the Devil Put Dinosaurs Here tour. So it was like right when the album came out. And matter of fact, the album was supposed to come out that day, but they pushed it back like a week or two, probably because they wanted to come out while they were in South Dakota. This dude came around with the all access lanyards, like I said, and he said, "Hey guys." And he came right up to us. Like, he knew who we were. Mike must have said the Chusky Boys. Mike said he's sorry he couldn't make it, but he'll meet you right here after the show. You got to be here when the show ends. We're like, holy, you know what? We ran over to the stage, watched the show, had some super fat drunk guy running into us, falling into us the whole night. Came over after the show. We were waiting, nothing. We seen the big vans drive off. We're like, oh my God, there they go. What a bummer. And we're just losing hope. And all of a sudden, here comes Mike Inez running around the corner and saying, "Hey guys, thanks so much for the sign. Let me sign
Happy birthday, Mike. Happy birthday, Mike. We love you."
Yeah. And it was so cool because you think about those dudes, you know what I mean? Like from Southern California and Seattle, you know what I mean? They're all over the world, and here they are in South Dakota, where you live, like your turf. You feel like you're the one that deserves to meet these guys, and you're lucky enough to do it, and it's awesome. It's a great feeling. Not just for Alice in Chains, because that's our band, but everyone has their own band, their own thing, and that's what we want to celebrate. We want to have people on the show that have badass stories, whether it's music or other things that I can't think of right now. We can celebrate that shit. You know what I mean? Give people a platform. Like you gave me a platform to talk about when I got pulled up on stage.
And listen, Yeah, and that's another podcast, Dusty. I know we talked about it on the previous podcast that I did, and we had you on, but I still think we should talk about it on this one again though too, because that. Go ahead. Sorry, get back into it, man. But I we'll kind of give a little teaser of a future episode.
Oh yeah, so back in 2019, so 2019. Went seeing the boys, Alice in Chains. I think it was my last time seeing those. Yeah, it was my last time seeing as the band. Yeah, so that's 2.5 years ago, which is freaking crazy. I used to see them. I used to go see them 2 or 3 times a year there for 6-7 years in a row. But yeah, I got creative. Like you and I are both very well known for being creative. Got creative and dressed up as my good friend Brian Herb, Jerry Cantrell's Ted. When I say dressed up, I mean we're both chusky, although we both lost a bunch of weight since then. And Brian's known for wearing those overalls, and I wore them. I made. You remember the fat head stickers?
Yep.
They still have them probably. But my dad has a print shop, and I gave him a gal I work with designed it. Got a picture of Herb off of Facebook, and we blew it up to like 3 times the size of a normal head. High definition picture, put it on like some not cardboard, but some whatever it is, like some plastic whatever. Yeah, there I was, front row, Alice in Chains. I'm usually front row because I'm a nerd like that. I get there like 9, 10, 11 in the morning, and I'm front row, front center, right in front of Jerry, and they loved me so much they brought me on stage, and we'll get to the rest of that in another episode.
Well, hey, speaking of that, please hit us up on our socials if you're listening to this. Number one, depending on where you're getting your podcast from, please 5-star review, follow us. We try to release something every week, and maybe spots in the during the week as well when it comes to like sports betting and stuff like that. Which once again, if you're taking our advice, it's not good. We'll tell you whatever we pick, probably do the opposite, and you'll have a higher percentage of winning. And then just let us know that you did that because that'll make us feel good. At least someone's winning.
If you want to give us a cut out of it, we won't bitch about it. If you want to. We make you $1,000. You want to throw us $50 in Venmo for the show? Hey, man.
Pays for the bandwidth. So to wrap up the story with Alice in Chains, though, signed it, handed out guitar picks. Do you remember that? Or bass picks of his. When the Devil Put Dinosaurs Here tour, handing out those picks, stuff like that. I think I got 5 of them, couple duplicates. I still hold on to this day, man. So it was really cool. And the other thing, because when they were actually on stage, we kind of left our little area, our viewing area, if you will, very nice by a porta potty, and you couldn't see the stage. But do you remember the song? I do remember it. So this is a pop quiz, Dusty. Do you remember the song that they played that night that you've never heard or very rarely heard? It's the first time I've heard it live. And of course, it's with William Duvall. That surprised the shit out of both of us. That was so exciting for us.
It was, what's the name of that song? What the fuck's the name of it? I know
Jar of Flies. Remember Jar of Flies? Deep cut. Dusty, silence is not good radio. There's another story we're going to have to get into.
No. We will eventually.
Got to let the wound heal before we get to that.
You're right. It's the slow emotional song that.
Yep. You want me to give it? You want me to spoil it for you?
I'm singing the song in my head, right now, trying to come up with the name of the song and the lyrics, but it ain't coming. What is it?
Rotten Apple, which that started playing. Like I second guessed myself that it was that track, and then sure as hell it was, man. We looked at each other just like, oh my God, yeah. And it wasn't an acoustic show, but it was still a very amazing performance because, you hear similar songs and stuff like that every time you go and see them. But being able to hear a deep cut like that, which based off of setlist.fm, like I'm not going to say it's the most accurate source in the world, they've only played that live total 23 times. And there was a span, and of course they weren't necessarily active with because of Lane passing away, and then William Duvall coming in and joining the band and continue to rock our faces off. They played it a lot, 6 times in 1993, and then the next time they actually played it was 1 time in 2006. And then there was a gap where they played it 9 times in 2010. Anyways, it's always nice to be able to go to, your favorite band, whoever your favorite band is, and you hear some of those deep cuts that as really, fans that have been following them for a long time. And not hearing, the same songs, which are great. Don't get me wrong. Rooster, Wood, some of those that you're going to hear. And that's okay. But then they mix in some of those things. And you'll hear Chad Smith from Hemlock later this episode talking about, creating a set list and how difficult it can be and how you span it over, their 28-year history to be able to, curb it down to, what they play is 20 plus songs, where some of these other bands, you're good if you get, 12 to 15. And out of that concert we saw, Dusty, the one bummer that I would say, and we both kind of talked about, is that there was no encore. They played their 12 or whatever it was, and that was it. And evidently with festivals, that's kind of the status quo. I have not been to a lot of festivals, but that would still probably be the one bummer out of it, with no encore.
Yeah, so that's the deal. So Alice will usually play 21, 20, 22, even 23 songs. When they're on a festival, it's typically, I would say, 15 to 18 usually. Matter of fact, when they co-headline, like, so when they did so Korn and Alice in Chains are both, both with Velvet Hammer Management. So they did a big tour together, and Alice was playing, you got to look it up, but probably 16 songs. I actually, one of only 2 shows that I've ever consciously decided not to go to. They played about six and a half hours away from here, from where we live, and I decided not to go because, did the set list make me decide not to go? No, but just knowing that there's less songs is kind of a bummer because you hear the same songs, same, group of songs. Like Jerry said over and over in interviews, there's a core group of songs that you have to play for majority of the people that are in the crowd, and I totally respect that. And honestly, dude, hearing Again and Rooster and Wood, Man in the Box, and whatever else I'm missing, you hear those every show you go to. Is it a good time? Oh, hell yeah. It's still awesome. Hearing Rotten Apple and some of those other songs you don't hear a lot of. Yeah, it's fantastic. Here's a pop question for you before we get off Alice in Chains. What's one fairly popular song that you have never heard an Alice in Chains? They have 2 videos for the song. One official video, maybe 2. I think it's 2 official videos, which is odd. And they haven't played this song, I'm guessing, since the tour when the album came out.
Which album?
It was from, let me look it up real quick just to make sure. I think I know. They haven't played live for 28 years, and it's off of Facelift.
Ooh.
The name of the song is 3 words.
Name of the song is 3 words. Pop quiz. I am failing.
Sea of Sorrow.
Oh, that is wild.
It's wild, isn't it? They don't play. I mean, why would they not play? Here's another pop quiz. What is your favorite Alice in Chains song? Because I know it.
Do you remember? It is a deep cut.
It is probably, I love every Alice in Chains song there is because I'm just a goober pile like that. But if I ever had, if I ever win the lotto and I call up Jerry and the boys, I say, hey guys, here's a blank check, come down to, my ranch and play a 25 song set list. This would not make the cut. But I know it's your favorite song. We all know it's from a movie.
So, dude, you're wrong, man. So that would probably be like my second favorite song. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know if it's changed necessarily, but I know we always go back and forth about this, especially when we're at Best Buy of like, hey, what's your cut? What song is yours? Blah, 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 blah. And so like probably my all-time favorite song is Got Him. That of theirs. That is probably my favorite one. The other one that we always talk about is What the Hell Have I from Last Action Hero, which is a movie that got ripped, which I thought was still amazing to this day. So one of the best goddamn movie soundtracks ever for the music that we like. That
absolutely it was. Megadeth, Alice in Chains. I think my favorite songs, I know you didn't ask, but I think my favorite songs, I'm a guy that's always like left of center, I guess you could say. I'm always loving the things that aren't like the radio hits and the popular things and this and that and the other, with exception to a couple things, right?
But not like other fans where you're not divas or spoiled or whatever, but you appreciate the stuff that maybe doesn't get the same airplay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean for other bands like other like Hemlock, they're on later. My favorite song for them, and I'm totally hypocrite, but it's What Does a Killer Look Like? Like I've heard them play that song live a dozen times or more, and it totally kicks you in the face and makes you want to move. Whether you're sober or you got a little drunk, it doesn't matter. It's an awesome song. My favorite Alice in Chains songs, and of course this could change from day to day, my favorite Alice in Chains songs that are live are different, because I've never heard these songs live, but off of the albums are probably Fear the Voices and Lying Season, which are strictly off of the Music Bank. And the Music Bank, was kind of unique. It was after things were bad. I think Lehman's already passed away, and they've got some songs on there that are totally unique. Still Alice in Chains, still the dual harmonies, still the Jerry Cantrell riffs, still Sean Kinney killing on the drums, and Mike and Lane, obviously the best singer of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, those are those things give me chills. Those songs, they're nothing short of fantastic, in my opinion.
All right, so another, not a pop quiz, but another show and tell, we'll call it, or voice and tell maybe. What's the favorite piece of memorabilia that you have of Alice in Chains? Like, you have tons, garage full of that, Bears stuff, whatever. And I have mine, but what is your favorite piece of memorabilia of Alice in Chains that you have?
My favorite Alice in Chains memorabilia. I've got a unique print of Lane Staley that's framed in my garage. It's not even, Cantrell is up there in of everything that I appreciate in life. I've got a couple guitars of his blue dress guitar, which is pretty iconic, and I've got maybe one of the only ones in the country, his black G&L Rampage with the big chrome star that says ALICE around it. Both of those guitars have been professionally set up and tuned by Brian Herb, which is Gary's tech. Those are probably the two definitely most valuable things that I own. Those freaking ass G&L Rampage guitars, even just the cheap version. I don't have the one of 50 made of the blue dress, but I have like a G&L Rampage that I made, and that Herb set them both up for me. So there's that. And then, and honestly, probably the most exciting piece that I own, I've got several art pieces that were done by folks not even in this country. Elena Evenflow, shout out to you in Paris for drawing me a picture of a photograph that I took of Jerry doing the solo of Nutshell. But I think one of the most exciting pieces that I have that took me freaking years to find, remember when they were on their Black Diamond Sky tour with Mastodon and Deftones? Every show they went to, they had a special art print done of that show. Some are Mastodon themed, some are Deftones themed, and the one from Camden, New Jersey, and shout out to Jerry's dad, the Rooster, Jerry Sr. The print of for Camden, New Jersey on the Black Diamond Sky tour was a skeleton guy dressed in army fatigues, and it had like an ace of spades, I believe, is in his hat. That and I actually got an artist proof as well. So I look for this freaking painting or this artist or this what am I trying to say? I look for this painting for probably 5 years or more on eBay and all over the internet, and I found the artist proof of this. So like one of one artist proof of Ain't Gonna Kill Me Yet, I think it says on the painting from Black Diamond Sky Tour. But that's probably my favorite thing that I own.
Wow, well, thanks for sharing like the half of the other collection too. But that is really cool, dude. Like maybe I should have went first, because the only thing I was gonna say, because I don't have tons of memorabilia. I got the poster in the back, I got the photo, I got the signed Jerry Cantrell, the signature of authenticity or whatever. It's questionable at best. Okay, it was eBay purchase a long time ago. But the one thing my buddy Ashland gave me, and we ended up trading something. I think I had an extra Mad Season album or something. I can't remember exactly. So I'm pretty sure I gave him the Mad Season album because I already had one, and we traded Jars of Flies. And the Jars of Fly album that I have in the spine of the CD actually has plastic flies inside of it, which was a rare release. It's definitely not a one of a one like you were talking about, Dusty, but that's probably the most prized Alice in Chains piece of memorabilia that I have. So
yeah, dude, that thing is way cool. I know we're not family, but I really appreciate if you put me in if you pass away to get that.
In the will, that particular piece of memorabilia goes to Dusty, the one half of the Chusky boys, Hirsch.
The world had just heard it. I'm going to go back. One more thing that I have. I know this is bragging. Maybe you won't make the show. It's fine. Was it April 19th, 2019, when I did go on stage in Minneapolis, where the Lakers used to play when they were in Minneapolis. I forget the name of the venue. When I went on stage, I came down during the encore. The Alice played their typical four-set, song for a four-set songs afterwards. They played the Rooster to end the show, and when I came off the stage, I couldn't get back to where I was. It was too crowded. It was just, too much chaos going on. And Jerry and Mike came over and pointed at me and smiled during the Rooster, which is their last song of the night. And I was so on cloud nine. It's hard to explain how you feel. You know what I mean?
I think between all of that excitement and adrenaline, and I think you got to mix in a little bit of dehydration too, bro.
I was so dehydrated, I couldn't even talk. Like, I literally wanted to go to the mic while I was on stage and say something. I was so thirsty because I'm so worried about having to piss all day. Dude, Wayne Billman, Sheriff Stretch Nuts, love you. We got in line at 10 o'clock that morning, and it was probably midnight by the time we got out of the show. They ended with the Rooster, which is pretty typical, especially on that long run they did for Rainier Fog. I watched, the whole encore set, and the security dude ran up to me, and I'll never forget what it looks like. He had like long, beautiful blonde hair, which I don't have. I'm bald. And he said, "Hey, man, the guy up there with the blonde hair wanted you to have these, or wanted you to have this." And I already got like 5 guitar picks from before the show started from Herb, and it was Jerry's pick that he used for Rooster that night. So I actually got 2 picks that night. I got Me Wrong during the middle of their show. He gave it to me, and then a Rooster from the encore 2 guitar used picks. And I gotta tell you, man, those things are in my fireproof safe. Something would happen, just throw them in the grave with me.
Got it. So you'll get my jar of flies if I die first. Yeah, if you die first, I gotta put those awesome 101 picks in the grave with you. I'm winking right now, and you can see it. I'm gonna do that, Dusty. Don't worry, bro. Okay. Anyway, so that story I do it was the set. It was at the Armory, right, in Minneapolis. I think is the Armory is where it was at. April 19, 2019, went on stage. So let's hold on to that. Let's for a future soon episode, we'll talk more about all the details of that and all the ins and outs of how you made that happen. And I'm sure there's other Alice Chain shows that we've been at and you've been at by yourself or went to by yourself that we'll bring up. So anyways, to finish off the episode, because the interview that we have coming up with Chad Smith from Hemlock is about an hour long. Yeah, Hemlock. Who is Dusty's had the opportunity to meet him multiple times, been to tons of shows, and I have not. And he's just a very, very interesting, down to earth kind of individual that has been in the business for over 28 years, and what he does to keep Hemlock rolling, and how involved he is, and all that kind of stuff, and how all that changes with the pandemic. So, anyways, we're gonna get to that interview. But, from us, the Chusky boys, this podcast, it's about great stories. It's about music. It's about sports betting. It's about sports. None of it we're good at. None of it we're good betting at. And definitely not good about setting fantasy football lineups. But, hey, you want to talk about it? You want to laugh at us at our expense or whatever? Hey, that's what the Chusky boys is all about. You're not going to get political bullshit from us. We're not going to talk about the pandemic. We're going to talk about the good stuff, the fun stuff in the world. And that's kind of what we stand for. So, Mr. Hirsch, was there anything else that you wanted to add to the party?
There's just, there's some people we got coming on that are really good at what they do, right? Like, there's some sports folks, some people he probably heard on satellite radio. There's some folks that are in the music business. They may be behind the scenes, but they're still in the business. They're super interesting to know. We got some cool stuff lined up. But the biggest thing for JR and I, we don't want you on because you're famous. We want you on because you're interesting, you're knowledgeable, you're not full of shit. we're going to walk away with something like empowered. You're going to feel smarter, which, you know, JR and I could definitely use. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. So hit us up if you want to laugh with us, if you want to be on the damn show, hit us up. The ChuskyBoys@gmail.com. If you know us personally, ask us. Like, we'll have you on, man. Like, it's a good time.
Absolutely. We do this in our spare time. We both have day jobs or anything like that, but you know, we love to create something. We love to spread, you know, good times, fun times, not so good times, bad beats, you know, like I said, whatever it is. So, you know, please subscribe, leave a review, good news, bad news, whatever it is. And if you or you know somebody who has an interesting story to tell, you know, let us know. Reach out to us, the Chusky Boys on Twitter, the Chusky Boys on Instagram, the Chusky Boys @gmail.com. Hit us up, let us know, talk to us. We're all about the fans, all about interesting people, all about stories, and we'll keep them coming. I know Dusty's got a bunch, so love hearing about them. I will have the next episode, hopefully a PayPal story that I would love to share with people, and hopefully it has a happy ending. So we'll leave it at that. Coming up to end the podcast is the interview that we did. Once again, Chad Smith of HEMLOCK.
Go out and see those guys, man.
November 1st at the Collective here in Rapid City, South Dakota, and then all around in the Midwest, stuff like that.
HemlockWorld.com.
HemlockWorld.com. Check them out on their website. See where they're stopping by. Tons of new merchandise that Chad created that's available. Also in Chusky size. We'll get into that. So please stay tuned. Listen to the Chad Smith interview, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Thank you.
Peace.
All right. This is JR and Dusty of the Chusky Boys with the one and only Chad Smith of HEMLOCK joining us today. Chad, how are you?
Yeah, what's up? I'm awesome. How are you guys today?
We just got through a freaking blizzard, but we're doing a lot better now.
I saw that Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, Wyoming, all of it got hit super hard with like a blizzard snowstorm coming through, huh? How bad you guys get it?
Well, where I live, we got 8 inches of snow. And I don't know about JR, probably 4 inches, I suppose.
2 to 3, maybe. It was heavy, wet snow, but the further you were east of the Black Hills, the less it was. Like, you start getting out to the base, they didn't get anything. Yeah. It was just nuts.
Up in Deadwood, they got 30 inches of snow yesterday and today. Like heavy, like concrete snow. Terrible.
That seems a little early in the season, isn't it? I mean, I know sometimes you get those freaky storms in October, but that's pretty heavy for that early in the year.
Just what we got was one of those freak ones, and hopefully the rest of October were good. Because I remember a couple years ago, 2013, I was moving into a brand new house, man. We couldn't even get to it because there was so much snow, probably 2 feet of snow. It was the Atlas storm. It was insane.
In October?
Yeah. Yep. 2013, October. Right around this time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to be there we're going to be up your guys' way in about a month. So hopefully by then it's all melted off and it's like 80 degrees again.
Yeah, well, it's South Dakota. I mean, maybe. There's a good possibility. That's exactly how it's going to be, man.
Yeah, you never know. But no, we're excited about hitting the road tomorrow. We've got 30 shows in 39 days. We haven't toured in 2 years. We did a couple of warm-up shows just last month. We did 2 shows just to get the gear out, get the dust off of it, get our heads banging again. But this is our first tour in 2 years, so we're super excited. I feel like I'm all caffeinated, and I haven't even drinking an energy drink in the last year, but I feel like I'm cracked out of my mind on caffeine. I'm like, woo, let's rock. Come on.
Pure adrenaline running through you right now, ready to go.
Yeah, we're excited. So we start in Sioux City, Iowa tomorrow. Then we go to Des Moines, Salina, Kansas, and then we keep working our way all the way out to Montana, hitting you guys out there in Rapid City, South Dakota. Going to be awesome. And then we cut back through Colorado and work our way all the way back out to Indiana. So it's going to be a good tour.
So you say 30 stops in 39 days. Do you guys look at adding anything if there's any opportunities, or is that like you're at the peak? Like that's as much as you guys can handle?
We'll play as much as we can. So, I messaged my friend today in Madison, Wisconsin, because we were trying to book a show and I couldn't get anybody to get back at us. And he just messaged me today about one of the days off that maybe we would be able to do a Madison, Wisconsin day. So we might add one more. And one of those days, we're actually going to be filming 3 new videos, too, up in Minneapolis at like a sound studio with the green screen and everything. So that day's already spoken for. And then a couple of the other days, sometimes you have to have a day off to actually like do laundry and get stuff done on tour. So
Are you guys still in the old black bus?
Yeah, the bus. We were hoping to get a year out of it when we first got it, and we've had it for 10 years now. From coast to coast, tip to tip, all through Canada, down to Florida, Seattle, everywhere in between, New York to San Diego, all over.
So, Chad, you've been doing this for a very long time, right? So I think when you were 15, you started Hemlock and started touring, right? It was hardest working band in metal, right?
Absolutely. We're 28 years into it, and I still love doing it every day. I don't know people that do the same job for 28 years and still enjoy it. I guess it's not a job to us. It's fun.
Right. Well, that's what you look for, right? When it looks for a career and stuff like that, what's something that you can enjoy doing because you can do it forever, you know?
Yeah.
And so not only you're the bassist, you're the lead singer of Hemlock.
Yep.
I think you do all the merchandising, the tour,
Me and
the
my
book
wife,
and the tours,
yep.
stage, setting all that up. I mean, you're wearing 4 or 5 different hats in this ordeal.
There's more than that. It's probably like Haymon on In Living Color, that TV show years ago.
Yep.
Where they had like, Haymon, I got 22 jobs. I drive the bus too. I'm the bus driver. We're our own roadies. We do our own gear. I tour manage. I stage manage. I book the tours. I write all the lyrics, design all the merch. My wife helps with actually ordering the merch and getting all that done. And she's kind of like my assistant to helping me keep my head on halfway straight because there's so much to it, you know.
Right.
And everything, there's so many things, just even designing the flyers and getting a hold of the street teams and getting a hold of the promoters and advancing the shows and just all of it, the publicity. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But I was doing an interview the other day and I told him, I said, Hemlock isn't just like a little band that we do for fun on the side. I said, it's basically who we are. It's become our lives because we've done it since we were kids, and it's full time, and we just always are doing it for the love of the music. I mean, we could probably make more money doing anything else in the world than playing metal music, especially. If we would have wanted to make a bunch of money, we probably would have chose country music or something. But it's so fun to play the hard and heavy stuff live because you can just get out there and get all your energy and just vibe off the crowd and get everybody pumped up and smiling and headbanging. I mean, you can't go anywhere else where people are sweating and bleeding on each other and moshing and laughing and spilling beer and just having a party every single night, you know. And we do it all around the world, all over through Europe, all through Japan, all through Canada, America, everywhere. So we haven't been to South America yet or Australia yet. So they're on the list to try and still go to do shows. But I know Australia's having some grief right now. So hopefully they'll mellow out and Hemlock and come rock and bring some smiles to the people down under.
So, you know, big time tour and stuff like that, you had to take some time off, forced time off because of the pandemic. What kept you busy over that 2-year span of time? Because you were about to go on tour, and then all the restrictions came into place, right? And you had to scrap that. What did Hemlock do?
We had just bought all of our airline tickets too, and we don't have a record label that'll fund it for us. So we save up our money from our own tours. We pay for our own gas. We don't have any rich relatives or anything. So we actually just bought all of our airline tickets, and then it was like 2 weeks later, like, nope, nobody's going anywhere. Like, oh, because it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, it just got so quick, so crazy, so quick. And we're like, well, there goes $5,000 of our money. And after about a year of arguing with the airlines, we finally got back like 80% of the money. But they wouldn't refund us for the luggage, even though we were like, we didn't get to utilize that service and we didn't cancel the flight. So you should definitely refund us, but they wouldn't. So we're like, just whatever. So just a pain, you know, but it's so many crazy in the world, so much nonsense and just so much hatred and anger that I realized us not being able to go on tour was such a small portion to compare to what all the rest of the world was suffering. So we realized we needed to focus on positivity and just optimism. And we actually took the time to write. And we took all the riffs and the lyrics and the ideas we had from, you know, you'll be on tour and you'll write like 3 riffs and then you'll come home and you'll just record them real quick on like even a little microphone input on your laptop, or you'll just jot it down on a piece of paper. So you get all these scraps, you have lyrics in your pocket. Sometimes I text them to myself, whatever you can, just even if it's one line here and there. So when we realized we had forced time, we're like, let's just get all the puzzle pieces together and make this album happen. Well, then we came up with 22 songs. So we wound up coming up with 2 albums and we couldn't cut any out. So we're like, the world needs more happy, heavy metal, hardcore, headbanging music. So we put it all out. We put out all 22 songs, didn't cut any of it out. And it turned out awesome because we didn't have any time restraints. We didn't have any studio crunch. We didn't have any, so we just, but it was a weird way to record. Also, normally we go into a studio and we do it all together and we work on it, you rehearse, you do all of it. But this time studios weren't open and people weren't allowed to travel. So we recorded a lot of it on our own, and then we would take our parts and email them to the studio, and then they would mix and master it and put it all together. So it was a weird way to do it, but the end all products turned out amazing. I'm really, really happy with the new material. And we're going to be playing, I think we got 6 or 7 of them that we're playing mixed throughout on the new set list coming up for this tour.
When it comes to a set list, you have 8 albums, I think, right, Chad?
I think we're on 11.
Is it
pretty
okay.
sure? I don't know. I can barely keep track, and that's not counting. I don't know if that counts the cassettes that we took a bunch of our old cassette stuff that we released when we were teenagers and put it on the CD compilation. So I don't remember if it's 11 or 12 counting that one, but still there's a lot of content.
Exactly. So a lot of content of your career spanning 28 years, going on 28 years. How do you pare down a set list? What does that look like?
There's probably about 100 songs. And of course there's the 10 core songs that you almost have to play, because if not, the fans will be like, why didn't you play? Nobody knows what a killer looks like, or whatever, their favorite song. But we got to the point where I was doing so many of these other jobs that come along with touring and managing and booking and all that, where we kind of have our standard songs. And then I told my brother, he's our drummer, I'm like, you just write the set list and I'll just play whatever you put on there. And then sometimes if we get a lot of feedback from the fans, if they're like, oh man, you guys should play this one. It's a song maybe we haven't played in 8 years or something. So we go back and we revisit it and make sure and depending on the tuning of the song, we go back and make sure everything's solid. And then sometimes we'll do it just from requests of fans and friends, but I think right now we got our new guitar player, and I think he's got 27 songs down. And I would say Hemlock overall probably has about 100 songs, somewhere give or take a little bit, that have all been recorded and released. We've got more than that didn't make it to the album or whatever, but so we're doing close to a third of the, something like that of the songs live, and then we rotate. So we usually play about 19, 20, sometimes 22, 23 songs a night. So it's a lot of endurance and cardio too on stage, because we rock out pretty hard, jumping around and headbanging and goofing off and trying to get the crowd involved. And my shirt is definitely drenched in sweat by the end of the set.
Very cool. Right on.
So Chad, speaking of that, so you've recently lost a ton of weight. That's got to help you out endurance-wise during the show, doesn't it?
I feel like a kid again. I'm ready to rock another 20 years. Yeah, I've lost 150 pounds. I was 330 at my heaviest.
Wow, great job.
At 330 pounds, you were putting on a show of 20 plus songs.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I was eating like garbage. So I was eating all the fast food and everything that's cheap and easy. Because when you're on tour, whatever's quick, whatever's cheap, And I realized my back was getting bad. My knees were bad. I couldn't breathe as good. You snore more at nighttime, everything. You don't sleep as good. And we were on tour over in Europe with the band Propane. And over in Europe, the venues have it set up better for touring bands, and they offer you more hospitality and more food, more spreads. A lot of them even have bunk beds in the back where you could take a nap if you get there and you're tired. Like, it's really, really cool setup in Europe. So they were offering us all these different foods that we weren't sure and what we were used to. And they're like, you guys want some falafel? You guys want some of the, and we're like, I don't even know what that is. Baked beans is delicious. So me and my wife, we had watched a documentary about just eating healthier, and I don't want to get into it because I don't like to preach too much. But if people ask, we will gladly tell them what worked for us. But different things work for different people, and I don't want to preach to people. But basically, me and her decided to cut out everything processed, and we eat whole food, plant-based. And I started losing weight. But I was teasing people saying I got a tapeworm when we were in Germany, because it's a funnier story than saying you just stopped eating junk food, But yeah, I was losing almost a pound or two a day. It was quick and crazy for me. It takes women a lot longer to lose weight, because you're supposed to be able to retain the weight for having babies and stuff, which it's very unfair for women because, they work so hard on getting slender. But I lost a ton of weight. And then My wife's took a little longer, but she actually lost 85 pounds and she looks amazing. So we both feel like kids again. I'm 44, but I feel like I'm 24. So I'm like, hell yeah, let's go out there. Let's rock. And we did a show in Bremerhaven, Germany on our 2018 tour. And they wanted more and they wanted more and they wanted more. And I think on that show, I think we played 28 or 29 songs. And I kept looking at the guys behind me, the rest of Hemlock, like, you guys got enough in you to keep going, and I just was all amped up and just feeling good. So my cardio level and my stamina and everything, I'm feeling like a champion.
Some previous and where you're at now, man, it's a world of difference, dude. You look good. You look great.
I appreciate it. And people ask us, and we've actually, it's hard to explain how to eat healthy at a loud concert. So my wife actually started a different Facebook page, and a few different people, a few different friends of ours, they'll come up and they're like, man, I'm stuck. I don't know how to lose this weight. And I know what to do and how to do it, but my wife understands more of the technological part behind it and how to, different salts and different things and different just eating, and how to flavor and to use an air fryer instead of a deep fryer, because we did all that for years, and the air fryer is just so good. So she'll actually get on there and help so many people. And we've had quite a few people start eating the way we do and lose a ton of weight. So they also give us credit for being like health aficionados, even though I never would have thought I was going to be that guy, but I'm like, as long as my friends and family are happy and healthy, within the metal community, we got to look out for each other. And so, but I don't want to get up there and preach and start telling people like, you got to do this and you got to do that. The only thing I want people to do is smile and enjoy their evening with Hemlock.
You you talked about it, not to change the subject from food, but as the Chusky boys, I'm sure we could all learn something from you for sure, Chad. But some of the tours and stuff like that, how does setting up a tour differ from overseas compared to the States? I mean, just from a logistics standpoint, it's got to be so much more difficult, I would assume.
Same concept, but it does take a lot more work for the overseas stuff because we're so new still over there technically. I mean, we've done 5 tours in Europe, but in the States, we've done like 50 tours. So we know a lot more people in the States and more clubs are familiar with the name Hemlock, more festivals are familiar. Over there, it's funny, like we toured the first time ever in England with Head PE in 2019. And at that point, it was like our 25-year anniversary, I think. And people were coming up to us every night, and they're like, how in the world have you been around for 25 years? And I've never, ever heard of you guys, man. You guys are like my new favorite band. And I just tell them, I'm like, we never had the love in the record label side of things to reach out to certain places. But we would go over and we would tour in Germany and Switzerland, and we would hit Czech Republic and Hungary. So we would do those areas with Propane, and we've been over there a few times, but we had never been to England and we had never been to France. So still, even after 25 years, we're humble enough to know that we're the new guys in certain territories and certain countries and stuff. So we just pay our dues like anywhere else. We know a little bit more what to do and how to get there a little bit faster now, which it always boils back to anytime you want to start a business, it takes money to make money, And with that, we know what we need to do. But France is so different of a country if you've never played before compared to playing in the Czech Republic, and the language barrier too. Sometimes, like in the Czech, it's such a hard language, and I love how it sounds. But like one of the cities we played in is Chusky, and it took me 2 weeks to learn how to pronounce it on stage because I always like to say, "Oh, thanks for having us," but I was like, I don't want to get up there and butcher the name of their city, So I have to write it down phonetically, like Cheska. But for them, it's like Czeske, and that's Cheska. And I was like, oh, man, this is going to be a hard one, So booking a show like that, you got to make sure you try to understand each other all the way. Sometimes they'll have an English translator, but there's been times where I just have to go on Google and like highlight the sentence that they send me and then like run it through to see like, what are they saying? Are they talking about like deli trays in the green room? Or are they talking about like gas money? I need to figure this out. So the language barrier definitely is harder. And then also the things like Hungary is smaller than Iowa, but it's a country versus a state. And Germany is smaller than Texas. But when I was a kid, I always thought Germany was going to be as big as the United States or like half as big as the United States. But basically over there, the countries are like the states size-wise. Like there's countries over there like Switzerland is super small area, but there's so many people that are in those areas. So you have to actually like pay attention because every day you're in a different country, or every 3 days you're in a different country. So you have to pay attention because you have to get different like stickers for your window when you're in your rental RV or whatever to be able to enter into the new country and not get tickets for not paying the right tolls and stuff like that. Versus here in the US, you take it for granted. You're like, sweet, we're in California. We're going to be in Arizona tomorrow. Then we're heading to Texas. We're going to jet back up to New Mexico and then cut around and go up through Colorado. Like, you don't have to worry about the border crossings and all that stuff. I mean, of course, if you're doing illegal stuff, you always got to worry. But luckily, us Hemlockers roll clean and good, because the tour always comes first. But some of that stuff, like where I'm like, oh man, I don't know how to even read this sign, let alone know what toll to pay and which turns to do. So it's a lot of figuring out, but it's almost kind of like trying to play a new video game where you're like, well, I got to learn how to do this, and you got to learn this, and you got to learn that sign means, exit or merge or whatever. So, and driving on the left side of the road.
I'm going to say the other side of the road. How does that?
Oh man, it's crazy. So I drive 98% of the time in the States and in Europe, unless we're sharing a big tour bus in Europe with one of the other bands. So the first 3 tours the first 3 tours we went were with other bands and we shared their bus. So I would just watch and sit up front because I wanted to see the sights anyways and see the countryside. But I would watch and I would try to like use my brain to figure out how to go left. Like even like when you come up to a roundabout, picture a roundabout and you just go to the right. You got to go up and go around to the left and know how to merge without clipping people because there's not stop signs for you to stop and think. You got to do this. And then when we were in England, there was a 5 roundabout in one. It was crazy. It was like the biggest roundabouts within roundabouts within roundabouts. And I was just laughing. So I didn't hit anything and we survived for like 3 weeks in England. And I did it. I made it. It was awesome. But it's definitely a little sketchy. The first 2 days in England, because we were on the motorhome in Germany, and then we got to France, did some shows, and then you jump on the ferry. So you're in the same car and the same, like, so you take the ferry across the canal, and then you get over the English Channel, and then you get over to England. So right when you get off, your brain has to flip-flop. All right, left side of the road now. You don't really have much time in between, but I was like mentally trying to prepare for it. And I told the guys, I'm like, listen, just be silent. If I'm going to hit something, don't say anything because it'll make me freak out. And my natural reaction will be is to slam on the brakes and go to the right because that's your natural. Like I said, just don't say anything. I said, don't listen to the radio. Don't say anything. Just let me try this. And then after like the 3rd day, I finally started getting even when somebody's coming down the road on a bicycle, you're trying to like pay attention. Like, well, if I need to like scoot out of the way a little bit so they can get around, like, are they going to go on the left? Or are they going to go on the right? Or what's going to happen here? So after 2 or 3 days of us basically driving in silence and the guys in the back of the motorhome whispering, I'm like, I think I got this. I don't mean to be crazy, but I don't want to get in a car wreck over here, especially on tour. And so I'm like, all right, we can listen to the radio now. That way we can relax. I think I've got the handle of this, And we turned on the radio, and the very first song on the radio was Spice Girls, 2 Become One. We were like, yes, this is the perfect way to kick in the stereo with the pop girls from Britain, Spice Girls, 2 Become One. It was so funny.
Chad, when was the last time you guys were over in Europe?
We went in 2018 was our last tour over there. And then we were going to go again in 2020, but that one got postponed. So it's been a few years, like 3 or 4 years.
So speaking of touring with other bands, and we're all metalheads here, what's the most awesome bands you guys have toured with? And what are some couple memorable gigs and stories you have?
Touring with Slayer is always like winning the lottery. That's always some of the funnest ones for sure. We've done 3 different tours with them. One of them was a longer full tour. And then there was another one that we did that was just a few, like a shorter, like a week of dates. And that was with Slayer and Killswitch Engage and Mastodon. But that was before Mastodon had blown up. They were still traveling in a 15-passenger van instead of a tour bus. They were brand new. And so touring with Slayer is always awesome, fun shows, just huge every night, And then we've done some tour dates with Slipknot, huge, just massive shows, and became friends with a few of those guys, and just fun stuff like that. But we did some stuff way back in the day where we get to open up for Suicidal Tendencies, and I grew up loving those guys. So it's just cool to open up for these bands that you grew up listening to, and we opened up for DRI. We opened up for Fight with Rob Halford, and We did a bunch of tour dates with Soulfly back in the day. Those were always fun. Machine Head. Oh, here's a good story. We did a show in Las Vegas, Nevada, because that's where we're from. Las Vegas, Nevada. It was Hemlock, this brand new band that nobody had heard of yet. They didn't even have a record deal yet. Brand new band named System of a Down. And then Snot with their singer Lynn when he was still alive. Snot was the third band, and Machine Head headlined. So it was Hemlock, brand new System of a Down, Snot, and Machine Head. It was $8 to get in. I still got the poster at my house. I'm like, oh my gosh.
What year was that?
I'm guessing 97, 90. Yeah, somewhere around in there, maybe 98, 97. I don't remember, something like that. And crazy enough is Las Vegas is a rough crowd. Luckily, they love us because we grew up there, and that's like our home turf, you know. But they actually loved Hemlock. And then right after us, System of a Down went up. And because they were new, nobody knew really how to take their music because it is so different. And people booed them off stage after like the fourth or fifth song and started throwing shit at them and just like hit Serge in the nose with the water bottle and booed him off stage.
Oh,
and then
man.
and then Snot came out and they're like, those are our boys. Why you boo them off stage? You know, whatever. And then Machine Head killed it, of course, because Machine Head's always amazing. But 2 or 3 months later, the radio station there in town started playing System of a Down. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, System of a Down's my favorite band. I'm like, you guys booed them off stage. And I'm like, come on, man. But they just were ahead of their time. They were so different and so strange. People didn't know how to like accept it. And then now they're one of the biggest bands in the world. But it's cool that we got to play with them before they were huge. And we've done so many shows over the years and been around so long that we've even had bands like Suicide Silence opened up for Hemlock at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood before Suicide Silence even had a record deal. And All Shall Perish played with that same show. And then In This Moment, they opened up for us at the Whiskey A Go-Go, same thing, where before they had a record deal. So it's just crazy. And then years and years before that, we played a little small show in South Lake Tahoe. And there was a band that opened up for us that nobody knew the name of, brand new, you know, named Papa Roach. They opened up
crazy.
for us way back in the day too. It's just crazy because these bands get signed and get huge. And we never had the love on the and we're also a little bit heavier, but we never had the love on the side of the record industry stuff. But we always have just done it for the fans and for our friends and for the love of the music. So we'll go do shows with Slayer where there's 3,000-4,000 people, 5,000 people. And then we'll go the next night and go play for 120 people in a bar. We don't care as long as we're playing every single night.
Yeah, that's what makes you guys so awesome. So speaking of doing shows, you know, we're from Piedmont, and you guys have played in Piedmont a bunch of times. But the first time you've ever played out,
who in the world plays in Piedmont other than Hemlock? I love it.
you probably think this guy right here, I bet.
Yes, what's up? Yeah, what's up, Dan?
Oh yeah,
hello. Piedmont rocks, and people miss out when they realize that. I think the smaller towns appreciate it more because they don't get the big shows, you know. I mean, some of those big shows like that, you know, where they just pass by and they don't even hit South Dakota. So I don't know what the closest. You guys might have to go to Denver or something. Like, I don't know for sure. Like
Denver and Sioux Falls is where they see a lot of shows at. You know, that was before the pandemic hit. You know, me and I think it was Dusty actually. We were all lined up to go to Sioux Falls to see Tool. And the last time I think they played South Dakota was in Rapid City, but I mean, we're talking like 2001. I mean, I think Lateralis, I think, if I recall. And, you know, just to be able to see them. And then another one they canceled that tour. And then I think Rage Against the Machine, that they're back. But I mean, they're in the same boat. I think they were coming back and then the pandemic hit. I don't think they've played any shows yet, at least nothing big.
They had to postpone and it kind of indefinitely until they redo it. But so I guess it's crazy because a lot of the tours just skip South Dakota, except for they all come during Sturgis. And it's awesome, but at the same time, there's so much going on. You might miss one of your favorite bands while your other favorite band is playing. So like a full tour. But one of the times we did come through on the Jägermeister tour, and that was killer. We played at the Rapid City Convention Center with Hatebreed and Typo Negative. That was an awesome show. That was on one of the Jägermeister tours, and Hemlock was on that one. And great times. And that's how we got to know a lot of the diehard metalhead fans in town there was that show. But I mean, we used to play at the Venue 8 back in the day. That was a good spot. We played there with Man of Straw way back in the day. That was good stuff. But
yeah, I know you're a big fan of Man of Straw and Steve and Jesse and Dan and all those guys. So playing with some of these local guys, like Man of Straw, they had, considerable success for being from where we're at versus playing with like Slayer or Slipknot. Is it just a completely different vibe, or is metal when you're at that point, when you're on stage?
I love it regardless, big or small. But when you're at the bigger shows, just there's a little more of professionalism with the venue side of things. The bands go out there and give their 200% every single night. Man of Straw rocks as hard as Slayer. It's just when you're with Slayer, it's a bigger environment. They got security guards. They got pyrotechnics. They got backstage area with catering. They got bus parking, they got union stage hands, all that stuff. So, it's different on the size, on the perspective of it. But as far as actually the music and the people giving their heart and just doing it, metal music's just metal music regardless, whether it's a big show or a small show. But yeah.
Chad, I've been to probably a dozen Hemlock shows. Loved every one of them. What can you tell thank you. What can you tell our listeners who've never been to a Hemlock show what to expect?
High energy, loud, rowdy, fun. I always put in the word fun and smiley because there's a difference between Hemlock and Behemoth. We've done shows with Behemoth before. There's a difference with Hemlock and Cannibal Corpse. We've done shows with Cannibal Corpse before, but they get out there and they shred and they do their deal. We go out there and we jam and we're more smiley and we have fun and we're more interactive with the crowd. And not that one is better than the other or one is wrong. It's just Hemlock comes a little more lighthearted and tries to get the crowd from the front to the back to have a smile on their face and that they go home knowing that they were part of something. Sometimes bands get out there, and I'm just saying those names in general. Like we played with Cradle of Filth over in England, and that's one of my brother's favorite bands, and we love Cradle of Filth. But we go out and we're more bouncy and we're more lively and more just, and they put more of the gothic entertainment on. So it's kind of the same thing like of watching a movie, you might watch a horror movie and you might watch a comedy, or you might watch one that has both mixed, or, different vibes and different scenarios, but overall it's still entertainment. And so Hemlock is more about just lighthearted, heavy, real positive lyrics. We want people to actually have fun. And because there's sometimes where you'll go to a concert and especially even if it's like a small turnout, I've seen some big bands before where they'll go out to a show and there'll only be like 50 people and they kind of pout on stage and they're like, oh, well, where's everybody at? And I'm like, that's totally the wrong attitude to have, because those 50 people that are there, it's not their fault. They paid for their tickets. They're there. They're supporting. It's the other 300 people that didn't show up. So why would you punish the 50 people, So we try to give 200% every single night, whether there's 50 people or 500 people. So high energy, loud, rowdy, fun, jumping around. If somebody falls down in the mosh pit, I try to, I watch the crowd and I pick them up. We're all friends. We're all family. It's a vibe, everybody, it's all part of the experience and just doing it.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I can contest you guys, no matter who's in the crowd and how many people. Usually there's a bunch of people, enough to make it a worthwhile show. You guys are always the same energy. I got a question from I'll just say it's from Daniel. He wants to know. I'm going to let him ask, actually.
Yeah, what's up, Daniel?
All right. I don't know if this is the correct story, but you went to high school with somebody that owns a bar in Keystone, South Dakota. Do you remember the impromptu Hemlock show that got set up on like a Monday or Tuesday night?
Hemlock rocked in Keystone.
One of the greatest Hemlock shows I ever saw, by the way, too. There's like
even
12 of us, and it was awesome.
That's even more obscure than Piedmont. Keystone's even smaller. And that show, there was maybe like 20. So the story is we had the day off and we wanted to go see Mount Rushmore, of course.
Right.
And one of the guys was like, well, I want to stop and get a beer. And we went into this place and me and my wife were walking next door to go check out a few things. And the guys went into the bar because I don't drink. The other guys were over there in there. And they came running out. They're like, no way. They're like, we ran into Chris Allred, our friend from high school. He works here now. And we're like, what in the world? We're like, what's he doing up here? They're like, they want to know if we want to play a show tonight. And I was like, sure. I was like, yeah, I mean, we can. We got our PA, everything, I'm like, let's do it. So it was seriously, we set it up with like 2 hours notice. And we wound up getting about 50 people to show up at that little small place and jumping and moshing. I remember beer was spilling everywhere because it was just, it was so fun, but it was like punk rock mentality, but it was a metal show. We're like, let's just do it, rock. And I remember I called you and was like, you guys want to come up? And I think you even showed up in some of your work clothes still, if I remember right.
I got to hold as many people as I could. So we're going up to Keystone for a Hemlock show. And we showed up. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You've toured all around the world, like you're kind of mentioning some of the continents. Still want to hit up Australia, and I think you said South America. And you mentioned Whiskey A Go-Go. What are some of the best venues that you've been to? Like, which ones do you love going back to?
House of Blues venues are always quality. They're always, you're going to get the good stage and the good sound. And then same with the knitting factories. Those are always good. There's one of those up in Boise, and there's one up in Spokane, I think. And there used to be one in LA, and they were just, you kind of know what you're going to get. But I also really like the old theaters. I just like the vibe of them. You can tell the history in them, and Denver has a bunch of them. We played at the Fillmore with Disturbed, and we played there with at the Ogden with Ministry, and the Bluebird Theater's another smaller one. And then there's the Roxy Theater that we're going to be playing on this tour. And it's just cool because they were acoustically set up for either movie theaters or plays. So the seats are always sloped, and it's just, they got a big stage at the end, and they make really good concert venues. There used to be one similar to that in Las Vegas named the Huntridge Theater. And that was where we saw Pantera on the Chaos AD tour. And that's where we saw, same summer, Pantera on the Vulgar Display of Power tour and Sepultura on the Chaos AD tour the same summer at the Huntridge Theater. And it was just awesome to be able to see them in this 1,000-person venue. And then we got to the point where we were able to headline it. So it was just that old theater vibe where they take it and kind of make it into a music venue, and they have those all around the country where you'll go somewhere. And there was I think there's one in New Mexico that we played at called the Lyceum Theater. And then there's one in Grand Junction, Colorado named the Mesa Theater. I love it. It's a great spot. So I like the kind of old, just the history. And I love old buildings like that anyways. You're like, man, this was built 100 years ago. It's still standing. But then you go over to Europe and you're like, this was built like 500 years ago. No way. We played in a wine cellar. It was a huge bricked in wine cellar. It was big in Germany. And it was like the city hall's big cavern. And they did like dances and weddings down there. But they had these huge wine barrels. There's like 20 of them down there that were like 15 feet tall and 30 feet long. And it's just lined all the way down there. So they wanted to make sure that their wine was safe and, during all the stuff. But they put a stage at the end and we played down there. I'm like, man, the history in this wine cellar that was in Bessigheim, Germany. I'm like, this is just crazy. It's awesome. And then we played in Liberec, Czech Republic. We played a place called The Bunker, and it's Bunkr, Bunker. And it was a bunker for the war. Like, it's crazy. So you go on stage, and right behind the stage, there's like this huge vault door that they used to hide all the ammunition in, and that's the green room for the band room. So you go in there and you like sit back there on the couches, and you can see where they used to have like the soldiers up on the roof and everything, and they were like guarded. It's built into a hillside. So it's just crazy, all the different places that we played. I mean, we played at an owl sanctuary in Llandudno, Wales. I can't even say it right because it's crazy. Llandudno. You have to it's Llandu, Dudno. Llandudno. But we played there. It was a owl sanctuary, and it was like this like little like side room, and they're like, you guys want to do a show? We're like, yeah, let's do it. Went in there, and there's like, never been to Wales before. There's like 200 people jumping and moshing and everything. And then the next morning when we woke up, you stumble out of the motorhome and we're like, let's go look at all the little owls and all the little foxes and all the little stuff. They were in all the cages and stuff and all the little like areas. It was neat. And then you drive down and around and you get to go see all the sights. And when we were over in England, it's crazy. You're like, let's go see Stonehenge tomorrow before we have to load into the show. So we went and saw Stonehenge, I mean, I never would have been able to go there if it wasn't for the music, because we're over there doing the touring, but then we turned it into a sightseeing tour while we're there too. I mean, we got to go to castles. We went to the Bone Church in Kutná Hora in Czech Republic. And it's a church that you pay like $3 or $4 to get into. And it's lined and decorated with human bones and human skulls. It's crazy. So I like to make the joke that you had to pay 3 bones to get into the Bone Church, but
some truth to that, right?
And the Paris catacombs, when you're in Paris and you go down to the catacombs and it's just like thousands and thousands and millions of bones and skulls and just it's crazy because here in the States, you don't see stuff like that. You go to Disneyland and it's all plastic and plaster. And I love it when you go to Disneyland, and it's funny because Disneyland's the happiest place on earth. But when you really go there, there's so many skulls and so much death that it's kind of funny and like ironic in a way to where I was like, Indiana Jones ride has skulls everywhere. Even on Snow White, the little apple turns into a skull. And I was like, Pirates of the Caribbean, skeletons and skulls. I was like, the Haunted Mansion, it's all death and skeletons and skulls. I was like, it's kind of funny. And the Jungle Cruise, they're holding shrunken heads and there's skulls and piles. And I'm like, I love it, when you really start thinking about it. But over there, it's plastic and it's ceramic and it's plaster and made. But when you're over there in Europe, you're like, these were living humans. This is insane. This is crazy. I mean, you just a whole different mind thought. And being that much older of countries and civilizations over there, when we were in Rome, it was just amazing to be able to walk the streets of Rome. And that's where you knew that, Caesar and Cleopatra and all of them back in the day, that's where they were at. It's just insanity. But I also love the history of America too, everywhere we go. I mean, even the same thing with Rushmore. You go there and I'm just blown away. I'm like, who in the world would look at this mountain and be like, I'm going to carve this and make this. And now it's world famous and it's just insane. I love it. And how much work goes into those things, it's just.
I'll tell you, Chad, what I love is the merchandise. And every time I go to a Hemlock show, you guys have the most badass merchandise available. I just ordered some of those new guitar picks you guys got. So hopefully I'll get those soon in the mail because I'm excited for those. But tell us a little bit about the killer merchandise you have, who designs it, where I can get it. And, just go from there.
Yeah, I actually do all the art. I design all the artwork. I design the posters, the flyers, the T-shirts, the CD inserts, the pick designs. I've always been real artistic, even since I was in elementary school. I've always enjoyed it. And I thought maybe I would do art for a living. But when I was in high school, I realized I could still utilize that in the music business and do it all. So I'm glad you like it all because we like to have a variety of stuff. We'll have a shirt where it might be a little more serious, a little more metal, a little more, type kind of a vibe to it. And then some of them will just have the most ridiculous, silly shirts because I think I'm going to be immature my entire life. I'm already 44 and my brain still thinks I'm a kid. So like I'll draw a Homer Simpson and he's ripping open his shirt and has a big Hemlock H on it. And I hand drew that one. I put Nikes on him. And then we had that McDonald's shirt that I drew where Ronald McDonald was in a meat grinder and Grimace had a bullet hole in his head and just different crazy things that it's just fun to have the variety. So the people that want a little more serious of a shirt or sometimes people want the bright yellow one with the Hulk Hogan on it that's yelling Hemlockamania, brother, or whatever, so.
Tell us about the Brian Sun shirt.
The one with the zipper face. I'm definitely very inspired from Garbage Pail Kids too. It's just a warped sense of humor, and I love it. I wear them every single day. I make these shirts with iron-ons and I wear them on stage. And so I came up with the imagery and it was similar to the Garbage Pail Kid where he's unzipping his face and the skeleton's coming out. But we took a bunch of photos of my nephew. So my brother, Brian, his son, Austin. I said, you got to make these crazy faces and then you got to make a couple more crazy faces. And I did it all in Photoshop and took his face, unzipped his face and bent it and morphed it and did it all on the computer and then made another face coming out. And so it's called The Only Enemy, kind of talking about that your own demons and your own holdbacks is, just kind of your inner self to believe in yourself and all that kind of thing. But yeah, that's my nephew, Austin. I did it all on Photoshop and it's kind of a disturbing photo where he's unzipping. It's kind of like shedding skin too. That song from Pantera where you're shedding your skin.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought it was a cool, weird image, but then we put it on T-shirts and it does look cool. We had it on drum heads and I've even painted it a few different times on canvas before and sold those, but we've had keychains, we've had panties, we got lunch boxes, we got shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got all kinds of stuff. So I just helped my wife load up the merch today in the bus, and it took about 30 or 40 trips of taking the merch to the bus. We've got so much stuff.
God, I can't wait. You guys are playing the Cave Collective here in about 2 weeks in Rapid City. What new merchandise do you have that I need to buy when you're here for the new tour and new albums?
You already got the picks on the way, and I threw in some extra stickers for you. And we got the new albums. You're right. We got those new CDs. We got some new T-shirt designs. I think most bands, when they tour, they'll have like 2 or maybe 3 t-shirt designs. I think we have 10 on this tour. A couple of them are a little bit older, but we've got a bunch of different designs. We got the lunch boxes on tour. We've never had those on the road before. Well, we had some different ones years and years and years ago, but we got lunch boxes, and we got some sticker packs. We got some USBs that we're selling because not everybody has CD players anymore. So we got some USBs. And
Hey, Chad, the most important question, are the t-shirts in Chusky size?
oh yeah, we represent from nano to Chusky and everything in between. We got small. I think we got small through 5X in almost all the designs.
Hey, we're not that Chusky, but I think 2 or maybe 3X would work for us.
That's for your extra Chusky listeners. We got some friends that are big boys, but it's cool because one of our friends in El Paso, he's like, man, I waited in line for a Slipknot shirt for like 3 hours. He's all, and by the time I get up to the front, they're like, well, all we got left is medium and large. He's all, look at me, I just waited for 3 hours. And he wears like a 5 or a 6X. So he was so happy when we had the sizes that he needed. And it's cool because then he's proud to sport it and is a metalhead, but he wears that to every concert he goes to now because he has like 8 different Hemlock shirts in 5X. So he wears them all the time, and it's just cool because then he's wearing them to all the shows and talking us up, to his friends and representing. So we like to have a variety of everything. We even have kids' clothes and onesies too. Got to have the babies representing Hemlock.
That's so badass, man.
Yeah.
So Hemlock, born in 1993, still going strong as hell. Been all over the goddamn world. So what's the future for Hemlock, do you think, in the next couple of years? Pretty soon you have your 30th anniversary. Will you guys still be going strong, making new music at that point and touring all over the world?
I'm too stubborn to quit. I'm going to keep rolling. I love it. I got another 20 years in me. So it's just going to be more and more and more. But I forgot to answer your question about where you can get the merch. You can go on hemlockworld.com. You can go on Facebook, Hemlock World. They've got it on Instagram. I mean, you could just track us down on the social media. And we don't have a record label or a big merchandising company or any of that kind of stuff. Basically, if you buy a CD or a shirt, that equals gas money to that big old bus that you guys see. It goes straight to the band, and it fills up our tank to where we can fund our tours and continue to keep touring. So I appreciate your listeners checking it out. And, even the guitar picks, I think you got those, $20? That's like another, well, unfortunately, that's probably only like another 5 gallons right now because gas is so high priced, but who cares? We just want to get out there and rock and roll, and we appreciate your guys' support. We're excited about coming back to Rapid City. I've never been to the Cave Collective.
That's brand new.
My friend Nick was saying it's awesome, and then Daniel's the one that told me about it first, and he's like, man, you got to get you there because it's straight downtown, good location. A lot of people are excited about it because they're somewhere downtown again, because we used to play at the Venue 8, and that was always my favorite. It was right there downtown, good spot, and then we did Bud Uglies a few times, and that was a good one, but it was always kind of difficult to get all. We got a ton of equipment. It was difficult to get it all upstairs and all that. So this Cave Collective, it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, we can't wait to have you. That's for damn sure.
What is it? November 1st. November 1st, Hemlock. Pandemic is the other band at the Cave Collective in Rapid City, South Dakota. Tell your friends, bring your grandma, bring everybody. Yeah, it's on a Monday Metal Monday. Bring everybody you can. Get detour signs and steal them from around. Don't tell anybody I told you to do this, but this is a great idea.
Oh my God, I cannot believe I haven't brought that up yet. Chad, I can't tell you how many times I've drove through usually Wyoming, a little bit of South Dakota, and I'm not saying you guys do this because I know it's your crazy ass listeners like us, but when you have the deer signs with the how do you say it? The
fart sticker. It's a fart sticker. Yeah. That's my Garbage Pail Kid influence. It's ridiculous. I came up with the idea. I was like, I love it when people put those Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer noses on those deer, and it's so stupid. I'm like, if we make a sticker that's a fart cloud and we put it behind a deer's butt, it'll be so funny. And whether people know what Hemlock is or not, they're going to be like, what the hell did that just say? And it's going to get people's attention. So somebody you guys might know came up with that idea, and they're all around the country now, Hemlock deer fart stickers, which brings me to a point as we have these new T-shirts because of those signs where it has a deer sign on the front farting, and then on the back it says, "I'm offended that you get offended so easily." It's great. But I was going to say, don't tell anybody that I told you to do this, but get detour signs around town the day of our show, and then make a detour in all of Rapid City, South Dakota that points right to the Cave Collective, so everybody's forced to come to the show. It'll be great.
I'm going to have to look into that.
Don't do it. I'm just kidding. We used to do that when we were teenagers and we were bored. So we would take the one-way signs and we would put them up, and we would make the city bus drive in a circle, and we'd hide in the bushes and make it drive around the same block and keep moving the one-way signs. And then we would laugh and think it was funny. And then I realized we probably shouldn't do that anymore. It's just wasting time. But it was kind of funny for 2 or 3 different times. And, but I got another interview in about 10 minutes, but I just wanted to thank you guys for having me. And I don't know if you got any more questions for you, because I would love to do another interview, or if you guys wanted to do one in person when we're in town or at the end of the tour to make sure that it went as good as I'm hoping it's going to go, because I'm very optimistic and positive all the time. So I hope this tour is as happy and as go-lucky as I want it to be.
The tour is going to be fantastic, Chad. No, I think we're good. I think we appreciate your time. We're excited for you guys to hit the road. I have never been to a Hemlock concert, but Dusty's saying I'm going. We're going to go to the Cave Collective.
Yes.
We're going to buy some merch. We're going to see your show, and we're going to bring some people with us. So we're super excited for that.
I appreciate you guys. Bro.
You have to get to another interview. Is there anything else that you want to leave it with, Chad? Like, for a lot of these venues, is there a specific spot to get tickets? Of course, get merchandise from your website, get it at the show itself. Where do they buy tickets for the shows?
I think you can get tickets from the local band and at the Cave Collective, and that's for most of the shows. Some of the ones have the ticket links on the events for the bigger theaters and stuff, because the Cave Collective is a little bit smaller of a place if I think, but they got them for sale, I believe, at the actual club. And a lot of the time you just got to show up to the door with $10 or $15 or whatever it is. We like to keep our tickets cheap. Sometimes they're 20 depending on what night of the week and where it's at, but we like to keep them reasonable so people could come out and have a good time. But I'm just saying, some Hem Life, some Hemlock, some Hem Love. We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for having us, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys in a few weeks.
And don't forget, you ain't chubby, you ain't husky, you're Chusky. We'll see you next time.